So I've got a whole cooked crab here. It weighs about 1.7 kilos, so that's a really nice large cocked crab. I'm going to show you how to dress it, how to take the meat out of the crab. So first of all, we start breaking off claws and legs. Just like that, like that. Try and break the legs off in one piece, but if not, that's what I've got the screwdriver for. The other pieces of equipment I've got as a crab pick. Occasionally I'll need crab crackers, lobster crackers, and a teaspoon. So just break all the legs off now. Now the next thing is I need to separate the back shell from the body. And how I do this is just taking the mouth, which is here, pulling that off, holding the crab like that, and with the back of my hand, just do a sharp tap. Pull the two halves apart. Right, now that in the back shell you've just got brown meat, and it depends at what stage in the molting process, that's when they change their shells, you find the crab, as to how much brown meat there is. There's quite a lot in this, which suggests that it's coming up quite soon to changing its shell, and this brown meat in the back shell is the new shell actually forming, but it's very nice to eat. I just did this thing without telling you what I was doing, is I pulled the stomach out, which is just behind the eyes. You do need to do that. It's not at all nice to eat the stomach. So just in the back shell here, I'm just going to take out all that brown meat. That's a very, very full crab. What I should have also added is, when I lifted the crab up, a good quality crab should always feel heavy for its size, and it's very difficult to describe. You say, well, how do you know what's heavy for its size? But instinctively you do. If it feels good and heavy, you know it's going to be a good crab. So that's all I need to do with the back meat, so that can go into my detritus bowl. Now here is the body section. First of all, I'm going to take the gills out, which are these, what they're called dead men's fingers. Now some people say these are poisonous, these dead men's fingers. They're not poisonous, they're just impossible to eat. It's like eating feathers. So I'm just going to take those off, just to make it easier to pick out the meat. Just take off this. There's a bit more brown meat just there. So I'm just going to put that into my brown meat bowl. Now I think I'm going to reserve doing the body till the last. It's the most boring and irritating part, so I will now concentrate on doing the fun bits, the claws and the legs. So let's start with the claws, which are very much the best bit. Very satisfying because you get tremendous bangs for your buck. So I just use a knife. You can use a hammer, but preferably a mallet hammer or a rubber hammer. But I find a knife is, for me, a big kitchen knife is more controllable. Although I do occasionally use a mallet. So just giving the shells a sharp tap with the back of the knife, like that. I shall be changing my shirt after this one, by the way. It goes everywhere. So now I've broken the shell, I can start pulling it apart. Do be careful when you're doing this, because you do get sort of sharp bits of shell. Right, so now I'm going to just prise this bit out. And when this comes out, you would like to think that that was a whole piece of crab meat, but in fact, there's a piece of shell-like tissue in the middle which you do need to get out. But try when you're doing the crab to make it as lumpy as possible. So I'm just going in here with my crab pit, see if I can get any of the end of the claw out. There's a bit. And then I just move on to the next section, the middle section of the claw. Again, I've cracked it a bit, not terribly successfully, so it's shattered. So there will be some shell in there. But I think, you know, it's a bit like eating prunes. When you eat really good hand-picked crab meat, you're always going to get a bit of shell there. So that's out from there. Then I'm going to just do the middle section. And I use either both ends of the crab pick, but this, I'm using the spoon end to get the meat out. And then just do a little bit more of a smack on that middle bit, and then again get my crab pick in there to get the meat out. I'm not the best crab picker, but I do find it's quite sort of enjoyable, particularly if you sit down with somebody else and you do it and you have a bit of a natter. I always find it sort of, it's great for talking about anything else, is picking crab. Right, that, I could go on a bit more, but that, just want to show you, that's the sort of amount of meat you can get out of a good cooked crab's claw. But I'm just going to do a leg now. Now I tend to be a bit naughty perhaps, but I don't really bother with these parts of the leg. I just bother with this part because there's a lot of meat in that. So what I'll do is not use that, but I tend to, if I'm looking for making a good shellfish stock, I'll use that smashed up for making a shellfish stock. Here I'm just using this part of the knife this time. So I just want to be a bit more delicate in my smashings so that I can break the shell off neatly and then get the leg section out in as bigger pieces as I can. There we go. I'll just do one more leg, break that off, and apply a little bit of pressure, and then there we go. No, I think you got the picture for that. But now I'll just go over to the body. Now the main part of the meat in the body is just inside the joints where the arms, sorry, where the legs and the claws were. If it's a big crab like this, there's not quite enough leverage in these little picks to do it. So I've got a screwdriver here just to break off these knuckles, like that. Okay, now this is where it does get a little bit tedious. When I say it gets a bit tedious, you don't get as much meat out as you did in the claws. I've opened those, taken the sort of knuckles out, as I call them, and just go in with my spoon end of my pick, just taking the meat out. The other thing I'll do is to cut the body in half, like that. Do watch your fingers if you're doing this, because you can get to some of the meat by cutting in half as well. So there we go. That's about it. There we go. Now let's have a look at the brown meat first of all. There's too much liquid in there, so I'm just going to empty some of the liquid out. Just get a little bowl now. Put the brown meat into the bowl and mash it up with a fork. Now it's quite strong brown meat. It's sort of, some people absolutely adore it, others not quite so keen. But what I will tend to do, this is actually very good brown meat, having mashed it up well, is to get a bit of mayonnaise and put that in there. So about that much mayo in there. Just whiz that up. Makes it very, very tasty. Taste that. Yum, yum. Now just make up a little salad for you.